So joining us now, myself, Ryan Reingart, and Mike Sangster from the Warrior House, we have the head coach of the Wayne State men's basketball team, Coach Bryan Smothers. Coach, before we were talking, you were kind of letting us know how prep for the season is going, but if you want to kind of reiterate a little bit of that and tell us, how are you doing these days?
Yeah, I'm good. I do appreciate you guys having me on. You know, kind of seeing you guys around over the last couple of years, definitely appreciate the support you guys have, for our program and all the other sports teams as well here at Wayne State. But yeah, we're, underway with official practice, just had our fourth day of practice. So definitely, got things working over here and, trying to cover a lot of ground, but it's all good stuff.
It's awesome. Yeah, you were telling us a little before we started here. It sounds like things are really getting underway. You're staying busy, even though, we're not quite into the regular season yet. So it's great to hear that you guys are underway, getting into practice and all that.
Yep, for sure.
Going back a little bit though, I kind of want to back up a bit. I do see in your office you got a picture of the math eye and y'all playing there.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, it's been a minute since anybody's really talked to you about your time going back when you were playing at Wayne State. You ended your career, you're in the top 10 statistically in a lot of categories at Wayne State. You're in the Wayne State Hall of Fame. Can you just talk about a little bit about your time playing for the Warriors?
Yeah, really to start off with, our coaching staff and Coach Greer, Coach EJ, Coach Neely, those guys were really instrumental in that process. They believed in me. Uh, I was given an opportunity and I earned the opportunity. And for me, that 4 years as a player, it was a really an example of what a process looks like to become a good player and also a good team. My first year played a lot as a freshman, but we weren't very good. Second year, myself and as a team, we went through bits of adversity and going through the process and getting a little bit better. Junior year, we were a little bit better, and going into my senior year, where I had established myself as one of the key players, one of the key leaders of the team. It was important for us to take the next step. And we also had a really good team that year that really allowed us to go on and have the most regular season wins. To win a conference tournament championship and to get to the NCAA tournament. But the team that we were able to build and the team that I was able to help lead. Uh, those are the examples that I give our teams now. Like, everything isn't going to maybe happen the way and when you want it and how you want it at that time, but the process and the steps that it does take to be good, to get the experience necessary to take advantage when opportunities comes. I would say that my time as a player here was built on step by steps in order to ultimately win championships.
And now here you are as the head coach of the Wayne State basketball team, and you talk about step by step. If you don't mind, I
Mhm.
mean, I know you had a couple of stops along your career from when you were a player up until just a couple of seasons ago when you were brought in to coach the men's basketball team. Can you talk a little bit about some of the different stops that you had?
Yeah, really going from a player to a coaching role here at Wayne State, right? It was one of those things. Initially, it was like, I'll stick around and do this until I can graduate. And then, when I finish this degree, maybe I'll continue playing. And, once I got into coaching, I knew it was something that I wanted to do and I was encouraged to do. And once I got into it, I knew that that's what I was, meant to do. Um, and sticking on for three years here at Wayne State, a student assistant, graduate assistant, and then get an opportunity to go to University of Michigan, work under Coach Beeline, and really a lot of great coaches, a lot of great people. That was like a basketball school, education in basketball, the terminology, the style of play, all the different ideas and experiences amongst the players, players and the staff, just being able to learn, sit there and learn, when you got a head coach with 30, 40 years of experience, three full-time assistant coaches, other support staff members who have coaching and playing experience. and being a low guy on the totem pole, just being able to soak up the game really. And in that role, I was able to scout and watch all of the other great head coaches in college basketball, Coach Izzo, Roy Williams, Larry Brown, a lot of teams and coaches that were in college during that time that we played against, and being able to pick up on their tendencies, see how they do things, see where they struggle at. Really, that those things gave me a lot of strength that I could do it. Get an opportunity to go to Niagara and really was really called on to do a lot, and being able to establish my voice and presence as a coach there was huge and instrumental in me being able to be a head coach. Coach Paul has really allowed me to do a lot and needed me to do a lot and help him during his transition as a new head coach. Um, so when I got my opportunity, I was able to take some of those experiences working with him, seeing areas where he needed me, right, and then helping build a staff here that would help me grow as a head coach when I got the opportunity.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to mention John Beeline. I mean, I don't know many people
Mm-hmm.
that can't really commend him as being one of the greatest, college basketball coaches in our time. And I remember we got to Michigan. I loved the team from there. But you mentioned a lot of different coaching names there, and I'm curious if there's at least one, maybe two or three pieces of advice that you've gotten from any of those coaches that has really stuck with you and helped you really build into what you're building here with Wayne State.
Yeah, being yourself, staying true to yourself, not trying to be someone else. That's probably the biggest one. And, when you get an opportunity, being a younger, head coach or leader in any position in life, there's, a thought of this is what you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to look like. But if it's not genuine, then it's not going to be received well by the people that are, you're working with or working under you. So just being myself at all times, being comfortable within my own skin, was huge. Uh, you know, being a genuine leader and having a servant leadership mindset, there's not a whole lot that really we do with our team that as a staff we don't embody or have shown that we can do as well. And I think that goes a long way with our student athletes. So whether it's on the court, weightlifting, when we ask them to do things, we've proven or shown that we can do it or we have done it so that they understand that, the level of ego and humility within the program, nobody's going to be bigger than that. And so those are, probably the two that comes out the most. And three, just having a gut feel. I would say in certain times and moments and making key decisions, whether it's off the court or on the court. Having a gut feel for what is the best decision to make, and but also making it with the most informed way possible. And that's just with detail and that's one of the things with Coach Beeline. Everything was so detailed and process and thought driven that even when you're on the spot in a moment, these are situations that you've thought about or you're prepared yourself for.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely a lot of that I can tell you translates. I mean, seeing the growth of the team over the last 2 years, it definitely feels like they're starting to embody what you're bringing, and it feels like everyone really is together on the team. So I just wanted to shout that out. I know Sangster's got a couple
Mm-hmm.
questions he wants to jump to, but I wanted to jump in there and just mention that
For sure.
I see that. I certainly see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Ryan actually helped me really transition that really well because looking back on that last year, maybe not the hottest start, but something clicked at the exact right time. You get into the GLIAC tournament, you win a GLIAC tournament game against a Lake Superior State team that you almost beat in the regular season at their place. I guess what would be three big accomplishments from that team last year that you're most proud of?
Yeah, good question. I would say throughout the course of the season, we were in a lot of games. We were either, I think we did a breakdown in all of our conference games. Pretty much, we had almost a double digit advantage at some point in the game. And even, throughout the non-conference, we were, 5-2 or something like that, throughout the, early in the season. And so uh, we had shown signs of what we could be. And, you know, the experience over the course of the season that gave me strength that it was going to click. But again, I believe we needed to go through certain things before we could maximize our ability as a team. At the same time, I think for me and as our staff, we had to evolve over the course of the season. We had a group of guys who we felt were, our best players and the most talented players. But it was clear over the course of, games that didn't give us the best chance to win. And I think, acknowledging that and also having the ability to evolve to the groups and the teams, the players that gave us the best chance to be successful was something that we evolved and got to towards the end of the year. And really, I think that style of play is more true to what I'm most comfortable with. And I believe that's kind of, helped us build that momentum going into this year. But, definitely just being competitive really in, all of our games. I think probably one or two games throughout the course of the year where we just weren't in it at all, or it got away from us, in the half. You know, when our backs were against the wall late in the year, we said we got to win all three games to get in the tournament. With Michigan Tech, Northern Michigan, Saginaw, just going into those games, understanding what was at play, and our guys went to work, and we were able to get it done. We had a lot of good practices, and that was always the thing. Like, you go to practice and you're like, dang, we lost two in a row, but our practices the next day were still really competitive. We're still really good. So the team always showed that the signs of competitive spirit that was necessary for us to get there. So, and then, like I say, going to Lake State in the tournament, and really the two games we played them, we were ahead late in the game, both games. And so we knew that we would have an opportunity and be in position. And we knew that we needed to make the key plays down the stretch to finish the game. And we're able to do that. And so for me, that resiliency throughout the course of the year, that was huge.
Yeah, and having that resiliency, throughout that last season is, I think, really made us very successful year two of your coaching tenure here. And so I guess that leads into where do you feel that the team has grown the most in this off season compared to last now? What are we looking for in the year three of your tenure here?
Yeah, I think just continuing on where we left off, the returners have felt that piece of success, right? And they want more. The new guys are now coming into a situation where they're not expected to really carry the torch, right? And I think that's the biggest difference right now from the first 2 years, is that the first 2 years there were all new players that needed to come in and play key roles. Starting level players. Well, this year we're returning 4 or 5 starters, right? And our top two players off of the bench, So, having 6 guys returning that played a lot of minutes for us last year, is huge. And now they can pick up where we left off. They can also help teach the new guys our culture or how we do things. So just having people in the program that know me, understand me and our staff and what our expectations are. It looks different and feels different from that standpoint from, where we've been the last, 2 years at this point in time. So that has been the biggest difference going into this year, and just experience. There's no substitute for that, man. Like, the guys on the team, some guys have been here for both years. Some guys were here last year, but going through those experiences, understanding, hey, if we don't fix this right now, this is going to be a big issue in November or February. What it's like to play on the road, what it's like to travel to wherever we're going, right? What, understanding. So the experience of the guys in the program. And for us as a staff going through it 2 years, going into year three, like the plan is a little bit more fluid than it's been. And so those are the things that I would say are a little bit different right now compared to years past, but also those are the things that we're just able to start at a different point than we've been.
Yeah, and I do think when you talk about experience, I don't think I'll ever forget that game at Saginaw Valley. But I mean, you think about like the stakes going into that game, what the team is feeling, what they know that that game means, and all of the fans there knew what that game meant. That was just a different type of atmosphere.
Yeah,
Just
shout out to our administration, Erica and Candace and the crew, and getting a fan bus and having a football team come and supporting their staff, having our friends and family in the crowd. There was times that it felt like a home game, and then to be able to win in that fashion and the storm court on the road team's court, that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that.
Yeah.
So one of the things you mentioned when we kind of started off here, we talked a little bit about recruiting. I think we actually
Hmm.
talked a little bit about that before we started recording here. But, in
Yeah.
terms of recruiting, we love looking at the roster, try to figure out, who's coming back, who are some of the freshmen coming in, or really who are some of the transfers coming in. And it seemed to us a little bit similar on the football side of things that there were a lot of transfers that we had coming in from the junior colleges. And we see a little bit of that on the basketball side. And I'm just curious from your perspective, is that a strategy that, and you don't have to give away the whole, how the steak is made or whatever that is, but like, is that a strategy that you really look for, or is it really you're just looking out there for who are the best players available that can come in and help us do what we're trying to do?
Yeah, each year is different. We try to be as thorough as possible with our evaluation process of the player, of the person, um, whether that's high school, junior college, transfers. We've evaluated hundreds, of players this cycle, really trying to find complementary pieces, not just add the most talented players available, which the previous years we've had to just to elevate that level of our team. This year was more, let's find complementary pieces. So that started Carlos. Paul, he's a local kid, but went to the junior college and kid that we kind of knew about in high school, tracked him, even going back to last cycle, and, now he's coming up and another year of film, another year of experience for him playing. And with what we needed based on attrition, he fit, the mode of the kind of player that we're looking for. And again, as a person, as a student, really low maintenance, high character guy that is really kind of just jump right in with our team. And then Kelvin Tamaklo, he came up, midway through the summer. We wanted to continue to add some size, and the guy really that we just really loved his tape. He wasn't as productive in the junior college ranks, but when you look at it, he played on a team that was really, really successful and almost won a junior college national championship. And both of those guys are Division I junior college players. So that level of basketball is a little bit better than some of maybe the local community college, junior college basketball that we are probably most accustomed to. But so trying to look at their numbers and stats and film and see how that translates to our system and our level. And we feel really good about that process, but also what they've done for us since they've got here. The other two transferred, John Brantley, transferring in from Lafayette College, a kid that I recruited coming out of high school when I was at Niagara. So having a pre-existing relationship there. And then Big KJ transferred from Central Michigan. He's got we picked up a little bit later. But again, guy's been on a Division I level. He was also at junior college the year before. And, when you watch this film, that shows a whole lot more than what the production level is when it comes to stats. But a guy that played really a decent amount for Central Michigan last year, and now coming in really solidified that position for us and the size and things we were looking for there. And then Jacoby Booth is a freshman, our lone freshman, the smallest freshman class we brought in thus far. Just one freshman. I kind of felt bad that he didn't have another freshman to go through the process with him, but guy that we vetted came to camps, for us, and we saw him a lot over the course of the last, really the last 3 years. And adding him and just watching him come in as a freshman, man, he has these great instincts as a player. But just being in a different place right now where we don't need freshmen to come in and play a lot, for us to be successful, and so it'll be good to watch him develop this year, potentially in a red shirt role.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, very curious to see how these guys do. It's awesome to see that we get some guys coming in with some experience in different levels of competition. So, I mean, obviously, like you said, we have a good amount of returners coming or sticking around as well. So that'll be a nice thing to see.
Experience helps in a lot of ways, but the understanding team dynamics, understanding being a college student athlete also, right? And understanding what it's like go to class, go to weights and practice and travel, all those different things that the freshmen a lot of times struggle with, that balance, adding guys that have been on a collegiate level. Their transition is a little bit better. They're just a little bit older, more efficient. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's good clarification there. Well, I know I have one more question, and I know Sangster has a fun one for you. Fast forwarding end of the season, what would you say you're looking back on the season? What's the biggest thing that you want to see that would say, we had a very successful season?
Going into for this year or talking about last year?
Yeah. No, at the end of this season, you're looking back on the season. What tells you that was a successful season to you?
One of our goals this year is to host a playoff game. Host a GLIAC playoff game. I think that's something that right now that's, if I asked everybody on the team, obviously winning championships, but the best way I think to do that is to be able to host a game or the tournament, right? But being able to host a GLIAC tournament game is one of the goals for our team this year. Yeah.
Awesome. I know we would love to see that, keep that home court atmosphere that we had at Saginaw and bring it right back to the field house.
For sure.
Yeah, and so like Ryan said, I got one last question for you. It's kind of a fun one. So one of the biggest changes I've seen in basketball over the past years since you've been playing are the shorts. I kind of know, which do you prefer nowadays? Do you like those big baggy ones that you had, or do you like what the guys have now?
I don't think I could play in the shorts they wear now. And maybe that's just, what I think, but when we bring people through the math eye and we have, our photo on the wall of our championship team, that's like the first thing that our players or recruits see when they show those pictures. Like, man, those shorts are long and they're below the knee, and these guys, they'll, would never wear those. They're like, how do you play like that? And I'm like, how do you play with these shorts? So, I got a big theory right now that over the course of the next 3 to 5 years, that the baggy shorts will be back. And they may not be baggy, but they're gonna be a little bit longer than they are right now. So that's how fads usually go. So I'm a bank on that next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I got to fully admit that Ryan and I have been watching since, gosh, 2012, 2013, and it's like you don't really think about it just as everything progresses over the years. You look back on old photos from back then, it's like, whoa, these uniforms are a lot different nowadays. So
even everything was just baggy, man. I don't, it's comfort, but I do think stylistically the tapered, more fitted style of clothing probably does look a little better. But maybe
I
not
personally gotta
comfort.
say that I liked the baggy stuff, but that just me. I'm kind of an oddball on that one.
Gotcha.
So, well, with that, Coach, we appreciate the shout out to us. I mean, we in our recent episode, we made sure we let people know, like, people have been telling us how much they appreciate that we're doing, but for us, it's something we like to do. It's a lifelong passion for us following Wayne State athletics, but we appreciate you. We appreciate the coaching staff. The men's basketball team and the women's basketball team, for that matter, have been very fun to
Mhm.
follow, especially these last couple of seasons. So, with that, is there anything else you wanted to throw in? Anything we may have missed?
Yeah, no, like I said, man, like I said, we see you guys and we hear you guys and we notice the support that you guys have for the programs here at Wayne State. Really having another group outside of our department that's using their platform to try to elevate the programs is something that I think is important, man. Which is why I wanted to be a part of this with you guys. But so, keep doing what you guys doing in that way, and anytime you're big fans of anything, like if you're Tigers fans right now, you're like, all my years of support is paying off now when you watch things that are going on, right? And being a part of that success, being a Lions fan and whatever the case may be, your team that you've been waiting to see breakthrough and get over that hump, right? And really gratifying to see it happen when it gets to that point, right? So yeah, that from that standpoint, like I said, thank you guys, and you know, we're excited to get going, and I know you guys will be there to help cheer us on and be a part of that process too.
Yep, you absolutely bet we will. So again, we appreciate your time, Coach Smothers. That's head coach of the Wayne State men's basketball team. So again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Coach.
it.